My name is Valerie Green. I'm 36 years old. 5 years ago, my parents told me they couldn't afford to save my 7-year-old daughter's life. They said they were broke, stretched thin, on a fixed income. 2 months later, I found out they co-signed a $580,000 waterfront condo for my brother, and the purchase agreement was signed 2 weeks before my daughter's heart stopped beating. They don't know that I kept every single receipt, every email, every text message, 63 pages of proof. Last month, my brother collapsed at his office in Seattle. Acute myeloid leukemia. The doctor said he needs a bone marrow donor. A perfect 10 out of 10 HLA match. My mother called me for the first time in 4 years. She was crying. She said, "Valerie, you're his only chance." What happened next changed everything they thought they knew about me. This is that story. I need to take you back to understand how we got here. Back to when I still believed my parents loved both their children equally. I was born in 1990. My brother Ethan came first, 4 years earlier in 1986. We grew up in Haddonfield, New Jersey, one of those upper-middle-class suburbs where the houses all have 2-car garages and the high school sends kids to Ivy League schools. My dad, Charlie, was an accountant at a mid-sized firm. My mom, Helen, worked as a manager at Wells Fargo. Comfortable, stable, the kind of childhood that looks perfect in Christmas cards. But if you looked at the numbers, and I eventually did, you'd see the pattern. Ethan's college fund when we were growing up? $34,000. Mine? $8,200. I found the statements years later when I was helping them move files to their new computer. I remember staring at those numbers, my stomach twisting. I'd asked my mom about it once, casually, trying not to sound hurt. She'd said, "Honey, Ethan's older. We had more time to save for him. Don't worry, we'll help you too." They did help, with loans. I graduated from Temple University in 2012 with $61,000 in student debt. Ethan graduated from Princeton in 2008, debt-free, with a corner office job at Morgan Stanley waiting for him. Christmas 1998 is burned into my memory. I was 8. Ethan was 12. He unwrapped a Nintendo 64, $199, brand new, with 4 games. I got a used bike from a garage sale. My parents had spray-painted it purple because they knew it was my favorite color. "We thought you'd like the exercise," Dad had said, smiling. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself love wasn't about money. I was wrong. Family dinners became showcases for Ethan's achievements. Thanksgiving 2015, I'd just started working at a nonprofit helping homeless families find housing. I was making $41,000 a year. I was proud of the work. It mattered. My mom set down the turkey and smiled at Ethan. "Tell everyone about the deal, sweetie." Ethan, always comfortable being the center of attention, grinned. "Closed a $12 million acquisition last week. Biggest one in our division this quarter." Everyone applauded. My dad raised his wine glass. "That's my boy." Then my mom turned to me, almost as an afterthought. "Valerie, how's your job at the nonprofit going?" The way she said nonprofit, like it was a hobby, not a career. "It's good," I said. "We housed 3 families this month." "That's nice, honey." Ethan's bonus that year was $340,000. I know because he mentioned it. Not to brag exactly, just as a fact. The way you'd mention the weather. When I met James in 2013, my parents asked if he made good money. James was a civil engineer, making around $60,000 at the time. Stable. Reliable. We fell in love fast. The kind of love that feels inevitable, like we'd been looking for each other our whole lives. When Ethan started dating Natalie, a corporate lawyer with a Hermes briefcase, my parents asked if she had good connections. You see the difference. James proposed in 2014. We'd been together a year. I was pregnant. It wasn't planned, but we were happy. Excited. Scared, but ready. My parents were disappointed. My mom had forced a smile at my baby shower. Well, at least James has a steady job. Engineering, right? That's practical. My dad had written us a check for $500 as a baby gift. I found out later he'd given Ethan $15,000 for a down payment on his first car that same month. Lily Marie Green was born on April 3, 2014. 7 pounds, 2 ounces, born at Pennsylvania Hospital in Philadelphia. She had my eyes, bright green, curious, and James's smile. The kind of smile that made you smile back even when you were exhausted. My parents visited twice in her first year. Ethan sent a $50 Amazon gift card. I told myself it was fine. They were busy. Ethan was focused on his career. I was building my own family now. James and I had each other. We had Lily. That was enough. I told myself that for 7 years. And then Lily got sick. May 12th, 2021. That's the day everything started to fall apart. Lily fainted at school. Her second-grade teacher, Mrs. Patterson, called me at work. I was in the middle of a case review meeting trying to help a single mom navigate emergency housing options. My phone buzzed. I almost didn't pick up. We weren't supposed to take personal calls during reviews, but something made me look. Mrs. Carter, this is Ann Patterson, Lily's teacher. Lily fainted during recess. The nurse is with her now, but I think you should come get her. I was in my car in under 3 minutes. Lily was sitting in the nurse's office when I got there, pale but smiling when she saw me. "Hi, Mommy, I'm okay, I just got dizzy." The nurse pulled me aside. Her heart rate was really elevated when I checked, 130 beats per minute. She says she's been tired lately. I'd recommend getting her checked out, just to be safe. We went to the ER that afternoon. They ran an EKG. The doctor, young, tired-looking, kind, came back with results that made my stomach drop. "Mrs. Carter, Lily's heart rhythm is abnormal. I'm referring you to pediatric cardiology at CHOP. They'll want to do an echocardiogram." CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. The best pediatric hospital on the East Coast. You don't get referred to CHOP for nothing. The appointment was May 18th. 6 days of barely sleeping. 6 days of watching Lily play with her dolls, laughing at cartoons, completely unaware that something inside her was broken. James took the day off work. We drove to 3401 Civic Center Boulevard together, holding hands in silence. Lily sat in the back seat, humming a song from Frozen. Room 7B, Pediatric Cardiology, Dr. Rachel Weinstein. Dr. Weinstein was in her mid-40s, with gray streaks in her dark hair and the kind of calm, steady presence that probably kept parents from completely losing it in her office. She did the echo herself, moving the wand across Lily's chest while Lily watched the screen, fascinated. "Is that my heart?" Lily asked. "It is," Dr. Weinstein said gently. "Pretty cool, right?" When it was done, she asked Lily if she wanted to go to the waiting room and pick out a sticker. A nurse took her hand. Then Dr. Weinstein sat down across from us. "Mr. and Mrs. Carter, Lily has dilated cardiomyopathy. Her heart muscle is enlarged and isn't pumping efficiently. Her ejection fraction, that's the percentage of blood her heart pushes out with each beat, is 28%. Normal is 50 to 70. I heard the words. I didn't understand them. What does that mean? "It means her heart is failing." James made a sound. Not quite a gasp. More like the air being punched out of his lungs. Dr. Weinstein continued, her voice steady, professional, compassionate. "This is likely genetic. Familial dilated cardiomyopathy runs in families. It's progressive. Without intervention, Lily's heart will continue to weaken. What kind of intervention? I managed. She needs a heart transplant. The room tilted. A transplant? I repeated. Yes. The national transplant list has an average wait time of 18 months, but Lily's condition is severe enough that we can get her priority status, which significantly improves her chances of receiving a heart in time. To do that, we need to get her formally listed, and that requires a deposit. A deposit, James said. His voice sounded far away. Dr. Weinstein slid a paper across her desk. I stared at it. Transplant list. Deposit. $195,000 insurance coverage. Estimated. $31,000. Patient responsibility. $164,000. My vision tunneled. $164,000. I know this is overwhelming, Dr. Weinstein said quietly. The total cost of the transplant surgery and first-year follow-up is approximately $1.2 million. But insurance will cover most of that once she's listed. This deposit gets her on the list. Without it, she didn't finish. She didn't have to. Without the transplant? I whispered. What happens? Dr. Weinstein met my eyes. 6 months to a year. Maybe less. I'm so sorry. And with it? Her 5-year survival rate is 83%. 83%. Not a guarantee, but a chance. A real chance. We need to move quickly, Dr. Weinstein said. I recommend getting her listed within the next 8 weeks. Sooner, if possible. 8 weeks to raise $164,000. I looked at James. He was staring at the paper like it was written in a foreign language. We drove home in silence. Lily fell asleep in the back seat. That night, after we put her to bed, James and I sat at our kitchen table and went through our finances. Savings, $12,000. James's 401k. He could withdraw up to $50,000, but with penalties and taxes, we'd net maybe $42,000. My 401k, $18,000. Total equity in our house, we were renters. Credit cards, maxed from medical bills from Lily's birth. We made a GoFundMe. James wrote the description. I couldn't. I kept starting and then deleting everything because it all sounded like begging. Our daughter Lily, age 7, needs a heart transplant to survive. Please help us save her life. We shared it everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, our church, James's work, my work, every parent at Lily's school. 3 weeks later, we'd raised $31,240 from 1,847 people. Strangers and friends and co-workers and people we'd never met sending $10, $20, $50, messages that said, praying for Lily, and stay strong and God bless. I cried reading every single one. But we were still $114,000 short. James looked at me across the table on June 3rd. It was 2 a.m. We'd been awake for hours, calling banks, researching medical loans, trying to find a way. I called 15 banks, he said. His voice was hoarse. Medical debt isn't collateral. They all said no. I stared at the number on the paper. $114,000. Val, James said quietly, we need your parents. I hadn't asked my parents for money in 15 years. Not since college, when they'd made it clear that asking for help was a sign of poor planning. But this was Lily. I picked up the phone. My hands were shaking. I called my mom first. June 8th, 2021, 7:14 p.m. The call lasted 11 minutes. I know because I checked the log afterward, over and over, trying to understand how it had gone so wrong so fast. Mom? Valerie, hi honey, how are you? Not great. I need to talk to you about something important. Is Dad there? He's watching the news. What's going on? I told her. Everything. The diagnosis, the ejection fraction, the transplant, the deposit. The GoFundMe. The $114,000 we still needed. There was a long pause. "Oh, honey," she said finally. Her voice had that careful, sympathetic tone people use when they're about to say no. "That's devastating. I'm so sorry. Have you tried a GoFundMe? I've seen those work wonders." "We did," I said. "We raised $31,000. We're still short." "What about insurance?" "They'll cover the surgery once she's listed, but we need the deposit to get her listed." Another pause. "Let me talk to your father," she said. "We'll call you back." They called back 4 days later, June 12th, 7:03 p.m. Dad did all the talking. Mom was silent in the background. "Valerie, your mother explained the situation. We're heartbroken for you. Truly. But we need to be honest about our financial position." I gripped the phone. "Okay. We retired early in 2019. We're living on a fixed income now. Social Security, our pensions, and our retirement accounts. Most of our money is in index funds. The market took a hit during COVID. If we liquidate now, we'd lose close to 40% of our principal. We can't destroy our retirement savings." "Dad, Lily is 7 years old." "I understand that, but we have to think long term. We're 68 and 66. What if we get sick? What if we need long-term care? We can't just drain our accounts." My throat tightened. "How much do you have in savings?" A pause. "That's not really relevant." "How much?" "Valerie, we're not having this conversation. I need $114,000 to save my daughter's life." "We don't have liquidity," he said firmly. "Everything we have is tied up." "I'm sorry." "What about the house? You could take out a home equity line." "We can't risk foreclosure." "You could sell." "The market's down. We'd lose money." Every door I tried, he closed. "Dad, please, I'm begging you." "I'm sorry, Valerie. We wish we could help. But we can't." He hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, waiting for it to feel real. It didn't. James tried next. I didn't know about it at the time. He kept it secret for 3 months because he didn't want to hurt me more than I was already hurting. He called my dad directly. June 22nd, 4:32 p.m. The call lasted 6 minutes. My dad's response, according to James, was colder. "Son, we understand you're scared, but we can't enable financial irresponsibility. You two need to explore other options. What about Lily's biological father?" James had gone quiet. "Oh, wait," my dad had said. "You're not him, are you?" James told me about that call 3 months after Lily died. We were lying in bed, unable to sleep, and he just said it. Like he'd been carrying it and couldn't anymore. I didn't cry. I think I was past crying by then. But I remember thinking, my father said that to my husband while our daughter was dying. On June 28th, James and I flew to Naples, Florida. We'd booked the tickets on a credit card we couldn't afford. We had to try one more time, face to face. My parents' condo was at 1847 Cypress Terrace, Naples, Florida, 34119. I remember the address because I looked it up on Zillow later. Estimated value, $385,000. They'd downsized when they retired, sold the Haddonfield house and moved to Florida for the weather and the lower taxes. My mom opened the door, surprised. "Valerie? James? You didn't tell us you were coming." "It was last minute," I said. She hugged me. She smelled like the lavender lotion she'd worn my whole childhood. For a second, I was 8 years old again, believing my mom could fix anything. We sat in their living room. New furniture, a Peloton bike in the corner of the guest room, visible through the open door. A wine fridge built into the kitchen island. I explained again. The deadline, the deposit, the time running out. My mom cried. Real tears. She held my hand. "If we had it, we'd give it," she said. You know that. But we're old, Valerie. What if we get sick? What if we need long-term care? What if Lily dies? I whispered. My dad's face hardened. That's not fair. You're manipulating us. I'm asking you to help save your granddaughter. We can't, he said. I'm sorry. I looked around the room. The new sectional, the 70-inch TV, the wine fridge, but no money for Lily. We flew home the next day. 2 weeks later, on July 8th, I convinced my parents to visit Lily at the hospital. I thought, God, I actually thought, that if they saw her, if they held her hand, if they watched her smile and talk about her new heart like it was a superhero upgrade, they'd change their minds. We met them at CHOP, 4th floor, West Wing, room 412. Lily was so happy to see them. Grandma! Grandpa! She held out her arms. My mom hugged her, careful of the IV lines. Hi, sweetheart. How are you feeling? I'm okay. The doctors say I'm gonna get a new heart, like a superhero upgrade. My mom smiled through tears. That's right, baby. You're so strong. My dad sat on the edge of her bed. You're a fighter, Lily Bear. They stayed for 2.5 hours. They read her a book. They watched her favorite show with her. They laughed at her jokes. And then, in the parking lot, I asked again. Dad, please. He shook his head. Valerie, we've been over this. They got in their rental car and drove away. The deadline was 7 days away. July 15th, 2021. I called Dr. Weinstein. We didn't make it, I said. My voice sounded flat, empty. We don't have the money. There was a pause on the other end of the line. Valerie, I'm so sorry. What happens now? We'll continue supportive care. We'll manage her symptoms. Keep her comfortable. Comfortable. Not alive. Comfortable. She's 7 years old. I know, Dr. Weinstein said gently. I'm so sorry. That night, Lily asked me when she'd get her new heart. I lied. I told her soon. August was brutal. Lily's ejection fraction dropped to 18% on August 22nd. She'd lost 9 pounds in 3 weeks. She was tired all the time. She'd try to play with her dolls and have to stop to catch her breath. Mommy, she said one afternoon, lying on the couch while I sat next to her, stroking her hair. I'm tired all the time. Is that normal? I forced a smile. Your heart is working really hard, baby. You're so strong. She looked at me with those green eyes. When do I get my new heart? Soon, I whispered. But we both knew I was lying. The doctor said we had weeks, not months. I called my parents one last time. August 19th. No answer. I didn't leave a message. On September 8th, Lily was admitted to the ICU. Her heart was giving out. James and I stayed with her. We didn't leave. We held her hands. We told her stories. We sang her favorite songs. At 6:31 a.m. on September 9th, 2021, her heart stopped. They tried to resuscitate her. I watched them do chest compressions on my 7-year-old daughter's tiny body. I watched the monitors. I watched the doctors exchange looks. At 6:47 a.m., Dr. Weinstein looked at me. Time of death, 6:47 a.m., she said softly. I'm so deeply sorry. James sobbed. His whole body shook. I sat there holding Lily's hand. It was still warm. I didn't cry. I couldn't. I just sat there. I held her hand for 40 minutes before they made me let go. I didn't call my parents. Ethan did. I don't know how he found out. Maybe the hospital. Maybe James's parents. It doesn't matter. They flew in for the funeral. September 14th, 2021. Laurel Hill Cemetery, Philadelphia. 312 people came. Friends, co-workers, parents from Lily's school, people from our church, people from the GoFundMe who'd never even met us. My parents sat in the back row. They didn't come up to me before the service. They didn't sit with me. They stayed in the back. My mom in a black Chanel suit. My dad in his good navy blazer. After the service, my mom approached me at the cemetery. "Honey," she said, reaching for my hand. "We're so sorry. If there's anything we can do—" I pulled my hand away. "You could have done something," I said. My voice was dead, hollow. "You didn't. That's not fair. Leave." My dad started to say something. I turned and walked away. 2 days later, an envelope arrived in the mail. A condolence card. Inside was a check for $500. I stared at it for a long time. Then I deposited it, and I donated all $500 to CHOP in Lily's name. I never spoke to my parents again. Or so I thought. For 2 months after Lily died, I barely functioned. I'd quit my job. I couldn't help other families when I couldn't save my own. James went back to work after 3 weeks because we had bills and someone had to pay them. I stayed home. I sat in Lily's room. I stared at her toys. I didn't sleep. Insomnia became my default. I'd lie in bed until 2, 3, 4 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation with my parents, every plea, every closed door. On November 19th, 2021 at 2:14 a.m., I was scrolling through Facebook on my phone. I don't even know why. Habit, maybe. The glow of the screen in the dark. Something to do with my hands. That's when I saw my mother's post. Helen Green, November 19th at 11:43 a.m. Beautiful weekend visiting Ethan's stunning new waterfront home. So proud of our successful son. #blessed, #Seattle life, #proud mom. There were photos. 6 of them. Ethan and Natalie on a balcony overlooking water. Puget Sound, I realized. Seattle. The condo was gorgeous. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Modern kitchen with marble countertops. Hardwood floors. A view that probably cost a fortune. 64 likes. 22 comments. Gorgeous. What a view. So happy for him. I stared at the screen. Ethan bought a house. I closed the app. I put my phone down. I lay in the dark. I didn't sleep. For the next 2 months, I couldn't shake it. The image of that condo. The pride in my mother's voice, even through a Facebook caption. On January 14th, 2022, at 3:28 a.m., I opened my laptop. I don't know what I was looking for. Confirmation, maybe. Or just something to do with the rage that was eating me alive. I Googled Seattle waterfront condos. I scrolled through listings. Alki Beach, West Seattle. I recognized the view from my mom's photos. And then I found it. The Alki. Luxury waterfront condominiums. Starting at $520,000. I clicked through to the building's website. I found the exact unit from the photos. Corner unit, top floor. And then I did something I'd never done before. I pulled up King County property records. Public information. Anyone can search it. I typed in the address, 2891 Alki Avenue, SW, Seattle, WA 98116. The results loaded. Owner, Ethan Charles Green. Purchase date, October 15th, 2021. Sale price, $580,000. My hands started shaking. October 15th, 1 month and 6 days after Lily died. I clicked, View Full Transaction History. That's when I saw it. Purchase agreement signed, August 23, 2021. Down payment, $130,000. Co-signers, Charles Green, Helen Green. August 23rd, 2 weeks before Lily died. They were signing mortgage papers while I was begging God to keep my daughter's heart beating. I printed everything. Transaction history, deed, mortgage documents, wire transfer records, 63 pages. I put them in a 3-ring binder. I didn't cry. I was past crying. The next day, James came home from work and found me at the kitchen table, surrounded by papers. "What is this?" he asked. I slid the binder across the table. He read in silence. I watched his face change. Confusion, shock, rage. "They had the money," he said finally. "They had the money." "Valerie, keep reading." He flipped to page 18. "My dad's Vanguard account statement from July 2021. Balance, $680,000. Page 19. My mom's 401k rollover, $520,000. Over $1 million in retirement accounts. But no liquidity. No money to help." That's when James found the email. He'd been looking through an old iPad we kept in the kitchen. We used to use it to share photos with my parents back when we still talked to them. It was still logged into my mom's email from years ago. She'd never logged out, and she'd never deleted her old emails. James opened the app, scrolled back to August 2021, and there it was. From Charles Green to Helen Green, Ethan Green. Date August 10th, 2021, 9:14 p.m. Subject RE, Seattle Property Opportunity. Ethan, we've reviewed the financials. The Seattle market is hot. If we move now with a $130,000 down payment, your equity growth projections are solid. 12% ROI in 3 years is significantly better than our current bond yields. Helen and I have discussed Valerie's situation at length. We want to help, of course, but we have to be realistic. The transplant is a gamble. Even with the surgery, pediatric dilated cardiomyopathy has a 5-year survival rate around 70 to 80%, according to what I've read online. We'd be liquidating a significant portion of our retirement funds for a maybe. Your condo is a sure thing. It's a tangible asset. Family wealth stays in the family. Let's move forward and close this deal. Dad James showed me the iPad. I read the email 3 times. Family wealth stays in the family. I wasn't family. Lily wasn't family. We were maybe. A gamble. A bad investment. Ethan's condo was a sure thing. I made a spreadsheet. I needed to see it all laid out. July 15th, 2021. Transplant deposit deadline missed. We were $114,000 short. August 10th, 2021. Dad's email approving Ethan's condo purchase. August 23rd, 2021. Purchase agreement signed. Down payment, $130,000. August 25th, 2021. Wire transfer executed from Charles and Helen Green's joint Wells Fargo account to Ethan Green's escrow. September 9th, 2021. Lily died. October 15th, 2021. Deed filed. Ethan officially owned the condo. They had the money. They always had the money. They chose his view over her life. I looked at James. "I want to have dinner with them," I said. "What?" "I want to have a family dinner. All of us. You, me, my parents, Ethan, Natalie. I want to sit across a table from them. Val, I want them to look me in the eye." James was quiet for a long time. Then he nodded. "Okay." I called my mom on February 1st, 2022. She answered on the second ring, breathless. "Valerie?" "Hi, Mom." "Oh my God. Honey, I didn't think you'd ever..." Her voice cracked. "How are you?" "I've been thinking," I said calmly. "About everything. About us. I want to try to heal." Silence. Then, "Really? I think we should have a family dinner. Talk. Start over." I could hear her crying. "Yes. Yes, absolutely. Oh, Valerie, I'm so glad. I'll call Ethan. We can do it here, in Naples. When can you come?" "How about next weekend? Saturday the 12th? Perfect. I'll make your favorite..." "I'll bring something," I said. "You don't have to." "I insist." We booked flights that night. $620 round trip Philadelphia to Naples for James and me. James asked if I was sure about this. I showed him the binder. I'm sure, I said. February 12th, 2022. 6 p.m. We pulled up to 1847 Cypress Terrace. Ethan and Natalie's rental car was already in the driveway. A white Tesla. My mom opened the door before we could knock. She threw her arms around me, sobbing. I'm so glad you're here, she whispered into my hair. I stood stiff. After a moment, I patted her back. Hi, Mom. My dad appeared in the doorway. He looked older, thinner, grayer. Valerie, he said. He held out his hand. I shook it. Ethan and Natalie were in the living room. Ethan stood when we walked in. He looked uncomfortable. Hey, sis, he said. Long time? Yeah, I said. Long time. Natalie smiled politely. It's good to see you, Valerie. We sat down for dinner. The table was set for 6. My mom had made glazed salmon, roasted vegetables, mashed potatoes. There was a $38 bottle of Chardonnay on the table. I know because I checked the grocery store receipt later, just to see. The first 15 minutes were small talk. My dad asked James about work. James answered in short sentences. My mom asked if we were eating enough. I said we were fine. Natalie talked about Seattle, about her firm's new case with Boeing. It's a big opportunity, she said. Very exciting. My mom beamed, and Ethan just made VP, youngest in his division. Congratulations, I said flatly. My dad turned to me. How's work, Valerie? You were at, what was it? The family services place? I quit, I said. After Lily died. I couldn't help other families when I couldn't save my own. The table went silent. The only sound was forks scraping plates. 8 seconds. I counted. My mom cleared her throat. Well, the weather's been lovely here. Much warmer than Philly, I'm sure. Ethan's place is just breathtaking, my mom continued, desperate to fill the silence. We visited in November, right on the water. I took a sip of wine. I saw the photos, on Facebook. Oh, you did? My mom smiled. Isn't it gorgeous? It is, I said. When did you buy it, Ethan? Ethan looked up. Last fall. We closed in October, I think. October 15th, I said. He blinked. Yeah, sounds right. And when did you make the offer? August maybe? Why? I reached into my bag and pulled out the binder. I placed it on the table. Everyone stopped eating. I opened it to the first page. This, I said calmly, is Lily's death certificate. September 9th, 2021. Cause of death. Cardiac arrest secondary to dilated cardiomyopathy. Signed by Dr. Rachel Weinstein. My mom's face went white. I flipped to page 2. This is the King County property record for Ethan's condo. 2891 Alki Avenue, Southwest Seattle. Purchase price, $580,000. Down payment, $130,000. Co-signers, Charles and Helen Green. My dad's jaw tightened. Page 5, I continued, my voice never rising. Wire transfer confirmation, August 25th, 2021, $130,000. From your joint Wells Fargo account to Ethan's escrow. Natalie stared at her plate. Page 12. I slid the paper across the table. Email, from Dad to Ethan, August 10th. Subject, Seattle property opportunity. I read it out loud. Every word. When I got to family wealth stays in the family, my voice finally cracked. But I kept going. Page 18. Your Vanguard statement, Dad. July 2021. Balance, $680,000. Page 19. Mom's 401k rollover. $520,000. You had over $1 million. My dad stood up. Valerie, this is out of context. You told me you had no liquidity. We didn't. You wired $130,000 to Ethan 6 weeks after you told me you were broke. My mom was crying. We were trying to help the family long-term. Lily was family. My voice rose for the first time. She was 7 years old. Ethan spoke then, quietly, carefully. Val, I didn't know the full details of Lily's situation. Mom and Dad made a financial decision. The condo was an investment. Real estate appreciates. Medical expenses they're a black hole. You can't guarantee outcomes? I looked at him. Say that again. He hesitated. I just mean, statistically, Lily's odds weren't great. Even with the transplant. Her odds were 83%. That's still a gamble, he said. The condo has a guaranteed return. She was 7 years old, Ethan. His ears turned red. Natalie touched his arm. Ethan, stop. But my dad was standing now, his face flushed. You want the truth, Valerie? Fine. Here's the truth. We made a choice. Lily had a 68% chance at best. That's a coin flip. We're old. We have to protect our future. Ethan's investment had guaranteed returns. We chose the smart financial decision. I stared at him. Smart financial decision, I repeated. Yes. And you know what? His voice was loud now. Angry. Defensive. Even if we had given you the money, Lily probably would have died anyway. Kids with DCM don't make it. We would have thrown away $100,000 on a... He stopped. But it was too late. On a what? I whispered. He didn't answer. Say it. Valerie. Say it. We would have wasted $100,000 on a corpse. My mom gasped. Natalie dropped her fork. James stood up so fast his chair fell over. Ethan went white. I stood up slowly. I looked at my father. You're right, Dad, I said. My voice was calm now, cold. Lily's dead, and you killed her. Not the disease. You. You had the money. You chose a view over her heartbeat. You chose granite countertops over her breath. You chose your son over your granddaughter. I picked up my bag. So here's what happens now. You will never contact me again. You will not call. You will not text. You will not email. You will not show up at my house. If I see you in a grocery store, I will turn around. If you come to my funeral, I will haunt you. My mom sobbed. You are not my parents. You are investors who cut a bad asset. And Ethan? He looked up, his face stricken. Enjoy the view. Every sunrise on Puget Sound? That's Lily. Every time you walk on that balcony, you're stepping on her grave. You bought it with her life. I looked at James. We're leaving. I left the binder on the table. You keep it, I said. Frame it. We walked out. Behind us, my mom was sobbing. My dad was yelling something. I didn't hear what. The door closed. 4 years of silence began. The first week was a flood. My mom called 47 times in 3 days. I didn't answer. I blocked her number. My dad sent emails. Subject lines I saw in my preview pane before I deleted them, unread. Please read this. I'm sorry. Let me explain. Valerie, please. I marked them as spam. Ethan texted, we need to talk. I blocked him. On February 21st, I changed my phone number. I didn't tell them. The letters started in March, handwritten. My mom's looping cursive on cream-colored stationery. I recognized the handwriting on the first envelope. I wrote, return to sender, and put it back in the mail. The second one came a week later. Same thing. By May, I'd returned 11 letters. The 11th arrived on April 3rd. Lily's birthday. She would have been 8. I didn't return that one. I burned it in the kitchen sink. James found me standing there, watching the paper curl and blacken, and he didn't say anything. He just put his arm around me. I started therapy in late February. Dr. Monica Shaw. Tuesdays at 4 p.m. $120 a session. Insurance covered 85. Dr. Shaw had kind eyes and gray hair she wore in a bun. She didn't push. She just listened. In our third session, she asked, "Are you grieving your daughter or your family?" "Both," I said. "You're allowed to grieve both losses." "I only lost one," I said. "The other was never mine." She was quiet for a moment. "Do you think you'll ever forgive them?" "No." "You don't have to," she said. I felt lighter after that session. I went back to work in June, not the same nonprofit. I couldn't go back there. Too many memories of the person I'd been before. I got a job at the Philadelphia Coalition for Child Advocacy. $61,000 a year, helping kids in the foster system. Kids who'd been failed by the people who were supposed to protect them. I understood them. In April 2023, Ethan tried to reach me through LinkedIn. I saw the message in my requests folder. I didn't open it. I just hovered over the preview. "Val, I know you won't read this, but I have to try. I didn't know how bad things were with Lily. I was focused on my career. I'm sorry. I want to make it right." Ethan. I deleted it. Make it right. There was no right. There was only gone. I built a new life. One where blood didn't mean anything, where family was the people who showed up, not the people who shared your DNA. James and I had date nights again. We laughed again. It took time, but we found our way back to each other. We planted a tree in our backyard for Lily, a cherry blossom. It bloomed every April. I thought I was done with them. I thought I'd never have to make another choice about my family. And then the phone rang. December 3rd, 2026. 4 years, 9 months, and 24 days after I walked out of that dinner in Naples. Ethan collapsed in a conference room at Morgan Stanley's Seattle office at 2:14 p.m. I didn't know that yet. I was at work, writing a report for a case review. A 14-year-old girl who'd been in 6 foster homes in 2 years. I was trying to find her a placement that would stick. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Hello?" Heavy breathing. Then, "Valerie? Valerie, please don't hang up." My mom's voice. I froze. "It's Mom. I know you don't want to talk to me. I know. But it's Ethan. He's dying. He has cancer. Leukemia. He collapsed at work. They rushed him to the hospital. The doctors said he needs bone marrow. They said you're the only chance. Please, Valerie, I'm begging you. He's your brother." My hand tightened on the phone. "How did you get this number?" "That doesn't matter. Please." "I don't have a brother." I hung up. I sat at my desk, staring at the wall. James came home that night and found me in the same position I'd been in that morning, sitting, staring. "What's wrong?" he asked. I told him about the call. "What are you going to do?" "Nothing." He didn't say anything, but I could tell he didn't believe me. 2 days later, my phone rang again. Different number. "Ms. Green? This is Sarah Brennan. I'm a patient advocate at Swedish Medical Center in Seattle. I'm calling about your brother, Ethan Green." Professional? Calm. No judgment in her voice. I didn't hang up. "Ethan was admitted 5 days ago with acute myeloid leukemia. It's an aggressive subtype. He's begun chemotherapy, but his prognosis without a bone marrow transplant is very poor. We've tested all available family members. His wife, your parents. None are compatible matches. And you want me to get tested?" "Yes. Siblings have about a 25% chance of being a compatible match. You're his only sibling. Would you be willing to undergo HLA typing? It's a simple blood test. There's no obligation beyond that." I closed my eyes. "If I say no?" A pause. "We'll continue searching the National Registry, but the odds of finding a 10 out of 10 match from an unrelated donor are less than 1%. Without a transplant, Ethan's prognosis is 4 to 8 weeks. 4 to 8 weeks. Lily had 6 months to a year. My parents had said that wasn't worth the investment. I'll think about it, I said. Of course, but Ms. Green, time is something he doesn't have much of. I agreed to the test. I told myself it was just a test. Just information. December 12th, 2026. 8 a.m. LabCorp in Philadelphia. They drew blood. 3 vials. The results came back 3 days later. Sarah Brennan called me on December 15th. Ms. Green, you're a perfect 10 out of 10 HLA match. I didn't say anything. This is exceptionally rare, she continued. The probability of a sibling being a perfect match is only about 3%. You're Ethan's best chance for survival. Will you consider donating? 3%. My dad had said Lily's 83% survival rate wasn't good enough odds. But here I was. A 3% miracle. What happens if I say no? I asked. Ethan's oncologist will continue searching the National Registry. But Ms. Green, I need to be honest with you. Without a transplant, and with his particular subtype of AML, he has weeks. Maybe a month if he responds well to chemo. With a transplant from you, his 5-year survival rate is 65 to 75%. 65 to 75%. Better odds than Lily had. I need time to think, I said. Of course. But Valerie, time is the one thing he doesn't have. I hung up. And for 4 days I didn't sleep. December 15th to December 19th. 4 days. 4 sleepless nights. James didn't push me. He just stayed close, made sure I ate, held me when I cried. I kept thinking about Lily. What would she want me to do? I knew the answer. I hated it. On December 17th, I called Dr. Shaw. Emergency session. She cleared her schedule. We sat in her office, the winter light coming through the window, and I told her everything. What's holding you back? She asked. If I save him, they win. Who wins? My parents. Ethan. They get what they want again. They always get what they want. And if you don't save him? I was quiet for a long time. I become them. Dr. Shaw leaned forward. Valerie, what would you tell Lily? If she were here right now, what would you say to her? I closed my eyes. I saw her. 7 years old. Green eyes. That smile. I'd tell her I love her. I whispered. I'd tell her she's the best thing I ever did. What would she tell you? I knew. I'd always known. She'd tell me to save him. On December 19th at 9 a.m., I called Sarah Brennan. I'll do it, I said. I'll donate. But I have conditions. Of course. What do you need? I don't want to see my parents before the procedure. I don't want to see Ethan. I'll do this, and then I'm done. We can arrange separate waiting areas, private recovery. You won't have to see anyone you don't want to see. Okay. Thank you, Valerie, she said softly. You're saving his life. I'm not doing it for him. The donation was scheduled for December 27th. I'd fly to Seattle on the 26th for pre-op. James asked if I was sure. I looked at him. Lily would do it. So I will. If you've made it this far in my story, thank you. I know it's heavy. But before I tell you what happened next, I need to ask you something. What would you do? If the people who betrayed you needed you to save them, would you? Leave a comment. I read everyone. December 26th, 2026. James and I flew to Seattle. Sarah had arranged everything. A private pre-op room. A separate waiting area away from my family. I saw my mom once, briefly, in the hallway outside the surgical wing. She saw me. Her face crumpled. Valerie. Security stepped between us. Sarah had briefed them. Ma'am, you need to return to the family waiting area, the guard said firmly. Valerie, please. Thank you so much. I looked past her and kept walking. Pre-op was in Swedish Medical Center, Second floor west wing, room 214. The nurse explained the procedure. Bone marrow aspiration from my pelvic bone, general anesthesia, 4 hours, give or take, 2 days of inpatient observation. You're very brave, she said. I'm not brave, I said. I'm just not them. December 27th, 6 a.m. They wheeled me into the OR. I counted backward from 10. I didn't make it past 7. I woke up at 11:30, groggy, sore. My hip ached like I'd been hit with a bat. James was sitting next to my bed. Hey, he said softly. Did it work? They got what they needed. 1,180 milliliters. Ethan's transplant is tomorrow morning. I nodded, closed my eyes. The nurse came in an hour later. How's your pain? Scale of 1 to 10? 6. She adjusted my IV. You did great, Valerie. Ethan's lucky to have you. Don't tell my family what room I'm in, I said. Already taken care of. But that evening, there was a knock on my door. I knew who it was before I opened it. Ethan stood there, thin, pale, bald from chemo. He looked about 20 years older than the last time I'd seen him. Val, he said quietly, I know you don't want to see me. I needed to say something before tomorrow. Please. I stood in the doorway. I didn't invite him in. I don't deserve this, he said. I know that. You could have let me die. I would have understood. I didn't do it for you. I know, but I need you to know. I'm sorry. For all of it. For not standing up for you. For the condo. For Lily. I'm sorry. I looked at him for a long moment. Okay. He blinked. That's it? Just okay? What do you want me to say, Ethan? That I forgive you? I don't. But I'm not going to let you die. Not because you're my brother. Because I'm not them. Now go back to your room. You have a transplant tomorrow. He nodded, turned to leave. Ethan. He looked back. Lily would have wanted me to save you. That's why I did it. Remember that? He left. James asked if I was okay. I don't know, I said. For the first time, that feels honest. 3 weeks later, I was back home in Philadelphia when Sarah called. Valerie, I wanted to update you. Ethan's engraftment is strong. His blast cell count is down to 2%. The transplant worked. He's going to make it. Good. He asked if he could have your contact information. To thank you. No. Understood. But Valerie, what you did was extraordinary. I hope you know that. I did what Lily would have done, that's all. I hung up. I sat on the couch, stared at the wall. I felt lighter. Not happy, not healed, but lighter. 6 months later, in June 2027, a letter arrived. Not to my house. To Sarah Brennan, who forwarded it with my permission. The envelope was thick. I almost didn't open it, but I did. Valerie, we don't expect forgiveness. We don't deserve it. We made a choice that destroyed our family. Your father hasn't been the same since that dinner. Neither have I. We're in therapy, together, and individually. We're trying to understand how we became people who could do what we did. Last month, we sold the Naples condo. We donated the full proceeds, $385,000, to CHOP's cardiac transplant fund in Lily's name. It won't bring her back. It won't fix what we did. But we wanted you to know we were wrong. We are profoundly, devastatingly wrong. If you ever want to talk, we're here. If you don't, we understand. We love you. We're so sorry. Mom and Dad attached was a donation receipt from the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia Foundation, $385,000, the Lily Marie Green Cardiac Transplant Fund. I called Dr. Shaw. They donated the house money to CHOP, I said. How does that make you feel? I don't know, That's okay. Should I respond? What do you want? I don't know that either. Then wait until you do. I waited a year. February 2028. 6 years after the confrontation dinner. I called my mom. She answered on the first ring. Valerie? Hi, Mom. Silence. Then crying. I want to try something, I said carefully. Just coffee or breakfast. At my house. You and Dad. Just to talk. Yes, she said immediately. Yes. When? Saturday the 10th, 10 a.m.? We'll be there. February 10th, 2028. My mom and Dad stood on my porch. They looked old, smaller than I remembered. I opened the door. Come in. My mom hugged me. I stood stiff for a moment, then patted her back. We sat at my kitchen table. James had made coffee, scrambled eggs, toast, fruit. 4 plates, 4 chairs. We ate in awkward silence at first. Then, slowly, we talked. Not about Lily. Not yet. About small things. The weather. Work. James's new project. My mom's book club. Lily's photo was on the mantel. Everyone saw it. No one said anything. When they were leaving, my mom turned at the door. Can we do this again sometime? I thought about it. Maybe, I said. I'll let you know. My dad's voice was hoarse. That's more than we deserve. Thank you, Valerie. They left. James put his arm around me. How do you feel? I watched them drive away. It's a start, I said. And then I cried. Not from sadness, from something else. Something like hope. People ask me if I've forgiven them. I don't have an answer. Forgiveness isn't a switch. It's a process. Some days I'm angrier than others. Some days I see Lily's face in my mind and I want to scream at the unfairness of it all. But I also see this. My parents sold their dream retirement home and gave every penny to save other children. Children like Lily who need a chance. Ethan calls once a month. I don't always answer, but sometimes I do. We talk about weather, work, small things. We're not close. We may never be. And that's okay. I didn't save Ethan because I forgave him. I saved him because I'm not them. Because Lily taught me that love isn't transactional. It's not an investment with guaranteed returns. It's a choice. They chose wrong. I chose different. Last week, I went to Lily's grave at Laurel Hill Cemetery. February 14th, 2028. Valentine's Day. I brought pink roses, her favorite. I sat there for an hour talking to her, telling her about the breakfasts with Grandma and Grandpa, about Ethan, about the fund in her name that's already helped 2 kids get transplants. I told her I missed her. And for the first time in 6 years, when I walked away from that cemetery, I smiled. The sun was setting. I had a therapy appointment in an hour. James was making dinner. My phone buzzed. A text from my mom. Thank you for yesterday. Love you. I didn't reply right away, but I didn't delete it either. Progress. 4 plates, 4 chairs, a new beginning. Not perfect, but real. And maybe that's enough. If this story moved you, please hit that like button and subscribe. Stories like this take time to research and write, and your support helps me keep making them. Drop a comment and tell me, would you have saved him, or would you have walked away? I want to hear your thoughts. And if you know someone who needs to hear this story, someone struggling with family betrayal or impossible choices, share this with them. Sometimes we need to know we're not alone. Thank you for listening to my story. This is Valerie Green, reminding you that love is a verb, not a transaction. And sometimes, the hardest choice is the right one.